Warning from the back to tank contains adult language and discussions. If you're easily offended, do not continue.
We would be honored if you would join us.
How are you feeling? Our latest workups on your condition indicate that all damage has been reversed. Recovery is total. I believe you have been quite fortunate. No further thanks are necessary, Commander, but you are most welcome. It is my function and pleasure as a medical droid to help and heal human beings.
I am a Jedi, like my father before me.
All right, hello everybody. We are back for another episode of Star Wars From the Back to Tank, the Rebels edition. And of course, this is the episode or the show where we break down and discuss the latest episode of Star Wars Rebels. And we're going to break down today, we're going to be talking about the latest episode, Vision of Hope. And I'm here in studio today with Dustin Lucas. How are you doing, Dustin?
I'm doing good, Mike. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. Now, before we jump into the episode here, I do have a little bit of news from Star Wars Rebels actress Vanessa Marshall. She's the one who plays Hera, the pilot.
The Twi'lek.
Now, yeah, the Twi'lek pilot. Now, the reason why I even picked out this article to go through, because it was kind of interesting, because in this interview that was published on, I want to say, the New York Daily News, it was published on February 2nd, so this past week, and it brought up some questions in the interview that I had no idea. Basically, it shed some light on the relationship between her and Kanan. In this article, I'm just going to skim through here. I'm going to be paraphrasing. But in the article, she writes, viewers have noticed a little flirtation between Hera and the Jedi in hiding, Kanan Jarrus.
Yeah.
But Marshall is confident that their relationship is strictly professional. I think the agenda at hand is far too serious for such petty things. There's not enough time for that. So I think they have a profound respect for one another, and that's born out of specific deals that will be unearthed soon. Then she said she used John Jackson Miller's novel, which is the guy we had the interview with, John Jackson Miller, A New Dawn, which chronicles how Hera and Kanan crossed paths in the early days of the Empire as they roadmap in crafting her performance. So I assumed, yes, in New Dawn, if you read New Dawn, which is the prequel to Star Wars Rebels, Kanan is all about hooking up with Hera from the very beginning.
Padawanawanga.
And you kind of alluded to the fact that she kind of liked him as well in the New Dawn, but she was more about her goals, and that knowing that he was all about himself in the book, she was not interested. But her interest in him greatly changed when she realized that he's putting it on, that it's fake, that his I don't care mentality was fake. And then now we flash forward to Star Wars Rebels. And I assume, didn't you assume they were like boyfriend, girlfriend? Maybe this is very elementary of me. You know, the way I think, my thought process is very maybe black and white. Hey, they're friends. That means they're fucking. Like, is that something you assumed as well, or you did not think that?
Absolutely, I thought that. Man, the first few episodes, I assumed right off the bat that they were a couple. And, they make the flirty eyes with each other and the banter between the two of them. I assumed that they were together, and I think that's actually what Ezra assumed as well.
Yeah.
I thought that. Yeah,
I thought for sure Kanan was tugging on those Twi'lek tentacles, man.
What is it about Twi'leks, man?
I don't know. They're always they're a little sultry, man. They're a little sultry. I mean, even Jabba had obsession with him, right? Weren't they the ones dancing in his palace?
Yeah,
all seductively. I don't know. I mean, it's funny that they are the. If you look up Star Wars fan fiction, which we all know, that gets crazy. They are at the heart. Twi'leks are always at the heart of some like overly sexualized scene in fan fiction every single time.
Every time you see a dancer, it's a Twi'lek, and they're wearing like, almost nothing, and they're doing sexy dances.
They're the sluts of the universe, Dustin.
I don't know, man. They wear underwear on their heads.
So dumb. They all have daddy issues. Maybe like this planet of Twilight, all the men in that world just sucks. So it gives all these females have just daddy issues, and now we have a galaxy full of strippers and prostitutes.
They're like elves, man. Even the Twi'lek dudes look like chicks.
Oh man, that's funny.
Oh, I'm sure I just offended so many Twi'lek fans.
So dumb. Probably, you never know. But see, and that's something I don't want to harp on this too much more. But it's funny that no one ever told her this in the writing room that she has a relationship. She just assumed that they don't. So that means it's never even been talked about in the writing room. That means there's no subtext going on, because usually writers will discuss this like, hey, we're not going to show the relationship on paper, but just so you know, as an actress, there is something going on. So she basically has stated that as far as she knows, there's nothing. It's straightforward, and that they don't have time for a romance of any sort. So I thought it was interesting.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
I mean, it is a show on Disney XD, so I mean, I guess the writers aren't going to be like, hey, Hera, come here for a sec. Oh, Vanessa Marshall, let's talk about your sexual relationship with Kanan. We're not going to ever discuss it, but hey, it's there. Like, maybe.
Yeah, it's like the story arc of this season is going to be a complete and total love affair between you two. It's going to be dirty and raunchy. Right. But try to make it for kids. Yeah.
I mean, again, maybe they're leaving it open-ended on purpose. I mean... or maybe they're trying to be more modern with it. You know how the new modern thing is, two people, a man and a woman, can just be platonic friends, and we don't always need to make them about each other. Let's make Hera a strong woman and not have her just be there because, hey, she's Kanan's support and she loves him. That could also be it as well.
I think that's smart as well, because that's so cliche. That would be like something that we would be expecting. Oh, they're going to get together. Right. Oh, she's the captain of the ship. Oh, God, it's going to just be drama now.
Yeah, that's true. All right, so let's jump into the episode now. The synopsis of Vision of Hope. Ezra has a fragmented vision of meeting Gall Trayvis, an exiled Imperial senator and rebel sympathizer, and assumes that Trayvis knows about his parents. The rebels receive a transmission from Trayvis notifying them of a secret rally on Lothal, but Ezra receives a tip from Zer Leonis, how you want to say his name, I guess, that Agent Callus is planning to use the senator to lure the rebels into a trap. Following Travis's transmission, the rebels find him and escape within Lothal's sewer systems. To Ezra's dismay, Trayvis reveals himself to be an Imperial spy and claims that Ezra's parents are dead and gone. So I kind of saw, this episode, I kind of saw that coming, just because of the fact that, and I don't think they meant it to be like a twist ending. I think from the very beginning it was meant to show that Ezra is not listening, much like Luke doesn't listen to his teacher saying, listen, you need to relax, chill out. I mean, the first thing we always learn in all these Star Wars visions is first, the future's always in motion, like Yoda has said countless times, right?
Yeah.
So it's the same thing with Anakin. What did he do? He acted on his dreams and his visions, and look what happened. It ended in a very bad way. So from the very beginning, I don't think the point was to confuse the audience into thinking this guy was in fact an Imperial agent. And I think the point, more or less, of this episode was to show that, Ezra's struggling. He's struggling with a lot. Look at the dark side thing he did 2 episodes ago.
Yeah.
I think he's struggling with his emotions, and it goes to show you the dangers, and that's what I kind of like about this. It shows the dangers of what happens when you take on a Padawan who is a little bit older in life, because they've already been set in their ways. They don't know how to control their emotions, whereas in the Jedi, the original Jedi way was what? You take them when they're very, very, very young, at almost like an infant state, right?
Yes.
So you take them, and that way you can kind of mold them from the very beginning to kind of repress certain emotions. And that didn't happen with Luke. Look at him. He struggled. It didn't happen with Anakin. Look at him. He struggled so much. He became the biggest villain in the galaxy.
Yeah.
And then I think the same thing's happening with Ezra. I think they're playing with those parallels and comparisons. Well, did you get that as well?
Well, yes, absolutely. And when I guess we can just get right into that. Yeah. When he reveals himself as an Imperial spy, Ezra starts to lose it. Like, he's like, I thought, wait a minute. He's freaking out. And I thought for a second, just a split second, he was just going to bust out the lightsaber and start hacking.
So did I. I was almost hoping for it.
Yeah. But I mean, that would be a little bit harsh.
Yeah, I almost thought he was going to take the lightsaber route and just involuntarily like hit him and like maybe not kill him because that'd just be a bit much at this point. But I thought he would injure him and then Kanan would maybe stop him before it got too far.
What did I tell you about the dark side?
Right. But you know what? I think it was kind of smart to show that he was struggling with it and then let Hera. It shows that she's not a dummy either, that she kind of had an idea of what was going on. She was hoping it wasn't a trap, but at the same time, she isn't naive, and she pretty much figured out the moment she met the guy. She knew immediately it was something was off. And I felt the same way as well. I mean, the fact that he's, in that room with just two droids all like, not even hiding. It's very in your face, open. It was set up to make it feel wrong and it felt off. And I think that was actually something interesting that the director did in this, which was, who was the director in this? The director was Stuart Lee, I believe. Stephen G. Lee was the director in this, and I thought it was a pretty good job what the director and writer did, because from the very beginning it just fell off, and then that is why I was hoping it would be how it turned out, because if they gave us this weird feeling of just falseness, it felt like a facade, and if they didn't do that on purpose, it would have been some bad writing and some bad directing.
Well, yeah, even the team, when they arrive on Lothal, they pretty much knew it was going to be a trap. That's why they set Zeb and Sabine up top. Yeah. To kind of scout everything out, and look what happened. In comes Callus.
We'll get back to Callus in a moment, but do you think, getting back to Ezra, do you think, okay, he's blacking out, right? I mean, as far as I remember, I don't remember Jedi's blacking out during training. He blacked out when he was fighting the Inquisitor, right?
Yes.
Okay, and he doesn't remember what happened. Now you see him, the opening scene, Ezra's practicing with a lightsaber in the very, Luke Skywalker-ish type way with the blast shield down. Him was supposed to fight, maneuver. And he's blocking the lasers, and then he blacks out. And then while he blacks out, he's able to do exactly what he couldn't do when he was in control of his faculties. Do you think this is do you think they're kind of going with the fact that he's not listening to to Kanan, and he's struggling with his visions? Like I was saying at the beginning, do you think they're setting Ezra up not to go dark side because we've been there before, but do you think they are setting him up that he's definitely struggling with dark side tendencies?
Yes, he is.
Okay, because to me that was odd. Like, I don't think Jedi's black out during visions. I mean, Luke didn't black out during his vision, and I don't remember ever seeing Jedi's black out. And I think that is going to play a huge part in either the season finale this year or later in future episodes and later seasons, because that blacking out thing and the fact that he can get the job done while he's blacked out, that says something as well. My only fear, though, and let me know if you agree, is I hope they're not setting up Ezra too much, just for the fact that, again, and we've kind of touched on this since we started doing these Rebels episodes, these Rebel shows, is how much is too much? Like, can we make Ezra this powerful Jedi, which is kind of what they're setting him up to be, and the fact that we've never heard of him in this universe.
Well, how are they gonna make him more powerful than Luke?
That's what I'm saying. Like, and it seems like they're kind of, and I know you got to do a story, you got to do an interesting story in these people, and you got to make them look, bigger, larger than life for the most part, because they're the main two Jedi. But how much is too much with Ezra? Do you think they're gonna make that mistake and kind of like make Ezra this badass by the end of the show, and you're just like, okay, well, how could we never heard of him before?
Ooh, I don't know, man. There's only a few ways that this could come out. I mean, maybe he gets killed. Maybe he goes into seclusion. I mean, if he's going to be as powerful as they're setting up, just like that dark side trick he did with the Beast. Man, yeah. Luke never did that. And Anakin never did that. Yeah. So if he becomes that powerful, he's got to go away somehow before A New Hope starts.
Right. And then maybe after years down the road, let's say he goes into hiding or whatever, something happens to him to where he's no longer in the thick of it. Maybe they bring him back in a movie version and they kind of expand a little bit more on his story and where he's been and what has happened. Which, again, as we know, that's Marvel's and Lucasfilm and Disney's plan for this franchise, is to make the multi-layered story.
That would be amazeballs.
That'd be cool.
That'd be awesome to see him in a live action movie.
Yeah, for sure. Maybe he'll still have a stapler lightsaber as well.
Oh, trolls.
Yeah. All right. So a few characters that are kind of returning is, of course, the cadet. That's Ezra's friend, which I think his name was what? His name was Zer Leonis, I want to say his name is.
Yeah.
Now he's the cadet guy that was from the episode where Ezra became a cadet to get into the Imperial base, correct?
Yeah, to get into Callus's office.
Okay, I kind of like that. At first, I wasn't sure, but I didn't like that episode. That's probably the weakest episode in my opinion. But I did like how they brought that cadet back, and he's kind of it shows that Ezra that they really are like a kind of an espionage terrorist group where they're working their contacts. The guy doesn't even know his name, and that's very espionage. That's very spy. That's very CIA-ish.
Yeah, my name is John Smith.
Yeah, where I'm a friend of yours. Hey, we're friends. The guy thinks he's his friend. Oh, he feels like he knows everything about this guy. He knows that he's fighting the Empire, but he doesn't even know his name. That's very that's a page taken right from the textbook of, espionage. Even your closest friend, air quotes here, doesn't know your name.
Yeah, everyone's a contact.
Right. I kind of like that. I like that a lot, that they're actually playing with that a little bit. Also, Fulcrum, I believe that's how you say his name. Fulcrum keeps coming back. His name, we haven't met him yet, but Hera keeps referring to Fulcrum as her contact that no one has met. Not even Sabine. If you remember, Sabine got all upset, when Hera wouldn't even let her meet him, or her, whoever it may be.
Any thoughts to who it may be?
There's rumors, and I guess it's a little unfair because I've searched it on the internet, but there's rumors. There is no proof yet, or evidence, but there's rumors saying that this may be a remaining clone trooper that's from the Clone Wars, one of the ones that we know of, that might have not actually turned his back on the Jedi Order when Palpatine ordered execute Order 66. That's the rumor. That may be an actual clone trooper.
Well, that's still pretty open-ended.
Yeah. Let's see. Agent Kallus, of course, has returned. Somebody I think is actually one of the most interesting characters. You know what? I continue to think it's pretty neat what they're doing with him. And again, playing with the fact that these Jedis are Jedis, but they're not the Jedis that we remember because they're not fully trained. They're a bit raw. So it shows you that, a platoon or a garrison of troopers and an agent Kallus can probably take them on for the most part without, obviously they keep eluding him, but it's fun to see that a regular agent who's a capable agent, yes, can give them a run for their money.
Well, agents are badass, man. They're not just like normal officers. In the Empire, they're not stormtroopers. They're highly trained. I mean, agents are badass.
Yeah. Now, hey, did you catch the whole Padawan Jabba? Is that an insult that he gave him, that he just calls him Padawan Jabba?
No, in an earlier episode, I believe that Ezra said that his name was Jabba.
Oh, that's right.
So he still calls him that. And that was so funny. I caught that too. He's like, a Jedi Master and a Padawan Jabba.
I forgot about that. Okay, that makes it that much better because that's funny. That's actually pretty funny, dude. Okay, now you caught something that I thought was interesting. Now, again, I don't know. This might just be a little subjective, but play the audio. You swear that Chopper says something. Don't say what it is, but this is during the scene when Chopper's... what was he doing?
Chopper was going to secure the doorway into the sewers.
Okay. Now go ahead and play the audio. Okay, I heard it.
Okay, do you hear that?
Now I do. Yes, I did it for the first time, but now I do. Okay, so what are you saying he says for the listeners out there?
Chopper rolls straight up to this droid and says, "Walk, walk, get the fuck out," and then shoots him with the taser. And then proceeds to kick his ass into the hole and just laughs and celebrates.
Now, if you were to ask the writers or the editing, crew that was putting the sound designers, like they may say they put some maybe like how they have their own curse words in the universe, in Star Wars universe. Do you think they could say fit one of their words in there, or do you think without a doubt that's saying "fuck you" or "fuck off" or whatever you just said?
Man, it's too perfect. I mean, I listened to it over and over and over, and it just I wrote down a couple things he might have said, but it all just comes back to, get the fuck out. I was like, the first one I thought it was you can fuck off, or shut the fuck up. But dude, I swear he says get the fuck out, and then he shocks him. I mean, maybe they didn't mean for that to. No, actually, they meant for that. There's no way they didn't mean for it to sound like that, and it's hilarious.
And we all know Disney is they've done this type of stuff in the past with suggestive things that no one else has picked up on until years later. So it wouldn't be a foreign idea by any means.
What was it, like Lion King or something? Right.
Yeah, they've done a lot. It's too like in your face with multiple movies for it to be by accident. So who knows? I mean, and you know what? It could be just a funny joke, and they get away with it for people that may or may not catch it. I'm sure little kids aren't going to catch that. I personally, it would make sense to Chopper's, his character, because I could totally see him say something like that.
Well, he does it again a little bit later in the episode when they come out of the sewers. Kanan uses his lightsaber to finish Chopper's cutting job to get him out, and then he's like, "Oh, you're supposed to wait for us," or I forget what he says, but Chopper's like, "What? Shut the fuck up," and they keep rolling.
Okay, you are a sound designer of sorts. Yes. Why don't you do something? Here's a job for you to do if you want to do it on your off time. Why don't you why don't you say those words? Because how they make those words is no doubt in editing. They're messing around with things. Yeah. So why don't you say, get the fuck out, and then play with your audio settings and see if you can make it sound like what Chopper said.
Oh, I could do that. I'll have that done.
Does that sound easier than I just made it sound? Is that easy for you to do? Are you starting to already think of the ideas of what to do?
Well, I already made that plug-in strip that I can emulate Chopper's voice with.
That's right. Okay, yeah, dude. So for the next show, we'll play that and see what it sounds like.
And plus, these are sound guys, and they're working on Star Wars, and they're uber geeks just like us. Yeah. So they're probably sitting around in the editing bay going, what can we do, like for a little Easter egg, something that only adults will pick up on.
Yeah,
maybe it's just Chopper's attitude. That's what they put into his attitude, but it sounds just like he's saying that.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, so now another bit of interest here. They actually, I don't remember them saying this yet in any episodes, but they say they don't know of any other rebels, is what they actually alluded to when the spy Trayvis was trying to kind of get information out of them. She said, Ezra, not now if it was Hera saying this, I would think this is her already knowing he's a spy, but it was Ezra saying, we don't know of any other rebels. It's just us. So remember we were discussing this about, do the rebels know of any, is there a larger rebel alliance, or is it just them? And I think we got a confirmation that as far as we know as of right now, they are it. Now, that doesn't mean we don't have, obviously we were introduced to Bail Organa in the first episode, I believe, Droids in Distress. We were introduced to him, and he obviously knew something, and he was doing his own thing. And plus, we've always been led to believe that Princess Leia and the Organas were at the heart of the Rebel Alliance from the very conception, because that was some of the problems that people even had with Rebels. They're like, okay, so you're saying Star Wars Rebels, they're the ones who started the Rebel Alliance and not the Organas and their group. So, rebellions start from discontent with the government that's in power, and there could be rebel factions from all over the place. That would make perfect sense. You see that all the time. So for them to start their own little rebel factions, what's going to be fun now to see, because I think that's pretty much what they have set up. What's going to be fun now is seeing how these rebel groups start meeting up and forming the Rebel Alliance, and no longer just little cells of terrorist groups. They actually form a true Rebel Alliance. That's going to be the funnest part now, I think, of this of this series, is seeing how that happens as well.
Well, there are absolutely a lot more rebels than there leading on to be. Ezra doesn't know a lot, and I feel like they're keeping a lot from him, because look at him just babbling on to a stranger about, oh no. I mean, he would have said anything. Oh, we're a huge network where there's rebels everywhere.
Yeah, that's a valid point. That's true.
I was just thinking about it while you were talking about it. I think Hera's contact is probably Organa.
You think, though?
That would be amazing. Like, and that
That'd
makes
be cool.
sense, because when Organa was talking, when he was talking to the droids, he was saying how he was pro-Empire. He's like, yes, for the Empire.
Yeah.
Well, we all know that, just like you said, he's in the center of the Rebel Alliance. So I think maybe that's Hera's contact, and that's why she's keeping him so secret, because he's in such a huge position of power.
Yeah. Now, again, us going on, the Organas being involved in the Rebel Alliance is us not kind of going off of old EU that's no longer canon. But obviously, A New Hope is. Princess Leia is 17 years old, correct, in A New Hope, and she was, that's canon, obviously. So I can't imagine them changing that just because they make it not canon. Old stuff that we used to do doesn't mean they're not going to go back and use it at this point. I can't imagine them changing something like that, because it would kind of take away from Leia's role in New Hope and what she's doing on the Dreadnought, that ship.
It could be Leia. I mean, we don't know.
But that would be kind of cool, too. But how old is she, though? She's like 12, 13 right now in this time period. So
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah,
she's young. She's very young. Well, I mean, if she made an appearance in this show, it wouldn't be the first time we saw Leia in something, something on the side. The game, The Force Unleashed, the second one, she makes an appearance at the end.
That's true. Another thing that, from a technical standpoint, and then we'll kind of close out this segment on the show, is from the technical side of things, I thought the writing was clever. Again, I like what they're doing in a 23-minute show. I'm enjoying what they're doing. And some people are unhappy, and I've read some stuff, which we'll get into that in the next segment, kind of go over some comments, and we'll kind of discuss what some people are saying about Star Wars Rebels so far. But from the technical side, that scene when Agent Kals walks into that room where basically the trap is laid out and the rebels are surrounded by the stormtroopers, tell me that scene just didn't look immaculately gorgeous. The lighting changed when the smoke entered that room and they turned their lightsabers on. Every once in a while you get these shots of stormtroopers, and on the big screen TV, man, those stormtroopers look so effing cool.
Oh, yeah, they do.
The animation, for the most part, is pretty cool all the way through. But there's certain scenes, and they do it in about 3 or 4 shots. They'll do it. And I take that back. Let's say 6 to 10 shots each episode that really sticks out. And in this particular episode, Vision of Hope, the shots that really stuck out was as soon as that smoke hit, and you see the stormtroopers closing in, and the lightsabers just glowing through the smoke and kind of penetrating through the smoke. That scene was just gorgeous. I mean, that is just straight. That to me reminded me of a film, of one of the Star Wars movies.
Well, that same situation happened in The Phantom Menace.
Yeah,
I mean, when they flooded the room with the gas.
Oh, that's right. That's right. So that was good. I continue to think the animation and the camera or the shot choices I continue to think are pretty stunning. And I think they're doing a fantastic work from the technical side. I don't have any issues at all with the technical side. Don't have an issue with the writing side. Don't have an issue with the direction at all. But we will get into some of the tones in the next segment here when we talk about what some people are saying about the tone and hoping that some things change, and then you and I can kind of go back and forth and see if we agree, disagree, or we want to add to it.
The tone.
Yeah, we'll get into it in a minute. Okay. What would be your final grade on this episode, Dustin?
My final grade would be 2 minutes in the back to tank.
2 minutes in the back to tank. I would give it 2 minutes as well. Let's see. How many is the 5 is the worst? 5 minutes.
Yeah,
let me give
5 minutes means a lot of recovery.
3.5 minutes, which would be a C+ episode for me.
I would give it a B-.
B, you're going with a B-? All right, so we are going to go to a very quick break. Don't go nowhere. We'll be right back.
Don't go nowhere. More Back to Tank is coming right up.
This is Star Wars from the Dr. Tank exclusive.
But I said to myself, I want to go in having one Star Wars nerd chill, that you get.
Yeah.
Like when Anakin turned into Darth Vader, or when Han Solo comes back and saves the day. That chill, that moment you still get chills when you watch it. You're like, oh, you get those little goosebumps. When Lando, thinks he's gonna die because he's in the Death Star and he's looking at that screen, all of a sudden he comes out, he's all, yeah, and knee numbs, all, whatever he does. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah.
Over to FromTheBackToTank.com for more details. And get ready for an excitingly good time. Also, if you've missed our last show, you can also find us on your Stitcher app. Search Back to Tank. Add us to your favorites. Thank you, and we will see you very soon.
That is correct. It is your destiny.
All right, we are back. Star Wars Rebels, Star Wars From the Back to Tank. You can find all of our shows past and present on Stitcher. Just search Star Wars From the Back to Tank, or just From the Back to Tank, or just Back to Tank. I set it up to you can find our show very easily, because I remember when we first set it up, it wasn't very easy to find because it was such a long title. So I put a couple keywords in there that will pop up whenever you search. Also, you can get all our shows on our new Rain Man digital app, Dustin. You can now go to the Google Play Store and download our network app, Rain Man Digital.
Why did you say it that way?
I don't know. This is being sarcastic asshole, that's why. All right, so, all right. Now, covering a little bit of the release schedule, and then we're going to jump into what we expect to see in the next episode. The release schedule has been off. Like, I know last week, or 2 weeks ago, we said we were going to be back next week, and we didn't because there's no episode, but then people are watching it, and they're like, wait a second, why isn't it on TV? It's a complete, it's a clusterfuck. And I finally found, somebody commented on the Facebook page. I'm just going to paraphrase what they said. I assume it's someone that works for them. I think it was the actual Star Wars Rebels Facebook page that actually responded. People were upset because, okay, you guys come back. Where's the release schedule? You guys, every other week, we turn on the TV on Monday night, and it's not there. But then if you have the Disney XD app on your iPad, your iPhone, or on your or Apple TV, you can log in, or as well as the website, you can log in and watch the episode the following week. So it's confusing, and I can't watch them on Disney XD app because I have DirecTV, and DirecTV is not part of their affiliates, so we don't get a password to log in and watch the episodes early. So it's a massive confusion on when these episodes are out. And basically, the justification was, I guess the schedule for 2015, the first quarter of 2015, was already set in place. And once something's set in place, when it comes to advertisement, you can't switch. Those advertisement spots are already bought and accounted for based on the content they said that was going to go there.
Okay.
So because of that, I guess they didn't plan, according to them, they didn't plan on Star Wars Rebels.
What do you mean they didn't plan on Star Wars Rebels?
I was like, how can you not plan on Star Wars Rebels? So I guess they didn't really know how much of an episode order they would get, when they would actually premiere. And I'm like, how did you guys not know? I guess when all the advertising was said and done and paid for and sold, they weren't fully aware when exactly Star Wars Rebels would be premiering, which I think is amazingly stupid. But that's the justification I've heard.
What? Okay, are they trying to say that they didn't know if it was going to be popular or not? Or are they just saying
they don't know when it was going to premiere, basically. That's what they said. They didn't know that it was going to come out when it did. They weren't sure. It was kind of like they were just waiting up on Lucasfilm. And yes, some of this was thrown together. If you remember, a lot of the ideas were kind of like, hey, Star Wars Rebels, it's here. It's coming out. And we're like, what? Star Wars Rebels? We heard about it vaguely about, 6-7 months before it was released.
Yeah.
Everything happened really fast, if you remember. Like, once George Lucas sold to Disney, everything, it was nothing for like what, a year? There was no information, and then all of a sudden information started rolling out everywhere about retconning the canon, or the retconning the old Star Wars EU, and so on. So I mean, I guess I could buy that. Somebody said it was also because of Martin Luther King Day was on Monday as well. So who knows, man? I've been hearing all kinds of things, but to me, but also even a couple weeks before that, We Idiots Array didn't come out the following week, the Lando episode either, and there was no Martin Luther King Day there. I think I'm kind of leaning towards what the excuse was on Facebook. You know, all comes down to the schedule was already set in place, which I think that's a man. I don't know why television shows do that. That's such a bad idea. Like, that hurts television shows. Maybe Star Wars Rebels is in a different category because I think they realize that people are going to watch it no matter what, even if it's inconsistent. But I think that just annoys people. It's obnoxious when you don't know when something's coming out and you're like, okay, where the fuck is it?
Well, yeah, and you look forward to seeing it, and then you get bummed when it's not there, and then you see people talking about it on Facebook or other social media outlets, and you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah. Well, yeah, and yeah, exactly. Well, look, I accuse David of pirating, you know, when I already saw the Lando episode. I'm like, dude, quit pirating episodes. And I find out that it was actually released, and the poor guy probably watched it on Disney XD and probably just got scared to death and just kept his mouth shut.
There's not really anywhere to pirate the shit anymore anyways.
Yeah, they're shutting everything down. So, all right, so the next episode is Call to Action. I don't have a synopsis on it. Hold on, let me Google a synopsis. Let me see if I can find one.
I saw a preview of it.
Yeah, so did I. I forgot it already, though. Oh, yes. You know what?
Grand Moff Tarkin.
Okay, Call to Action, Star Wars Rebels next week. I believe it is airing. If I can believe my sources, I believe it will be airing on Monday. Now, the next episode shows that Tarkin is back.
He looks great, too.
Yeah, man, that's a big deal. That's another big character. Yes, I guess in the grand scheme of things, he's kind of unimportant. But with the new EU being revamped, you have that the Tarkin book, which has had rave. Everyone has just rave reviews. Then you have him being in the Revenge of the Sith. Tarkin, for the longest time, has been one of those characters that have just been kind of a mysterious character, but a very interesting character. People always want to learn more about him. So this is a big deal. They're bringing him into Star Wars Rebels. What do you want to see Tarkin do? Not do? Do you think this is a good idea, or do you think this is a bad idea, Dustin?
I think it's an excellent idea, and I really, 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 really hope that Tarkin leads to the Death Star somehow.
Oh, yes.
He alludes to, yes, we have something in the works. Because at this point, it's still being built, the first Death Star.
Yeah. I mean, okay, at the end of Revenge of the Sith, wasn't there already a fragment of it? At the end, right? And Tarkin was looking at it.
Yeah, it was Tarkin, the Emperor, and Darth Vader. They were looking at the framework of the Death Star.
Yeah, so you're right, man. The Death Star is in existence, and it would make sense that if the people on Lothal is these rebels are fighting against them, they have to find some information, even like something about a secret weapon would be awesome to hear, because we all know what it's going to be. I mean, if you don't want the rebels to find out about it, so be it, because that's a major thing. And we all know how, they came up. I think we pretty much know how the Rebel Alliance learned about the Death Star. I think we do. I can't remember now off the top of my head, but it would be, I think it's something that we definitely need to hear. I think that would be so awesome, especially, okay, the thing with Tarkin is this, again, a lot of hype on him. He's one of the most iconic characters in Star Wars universe. And if you're bringing him in, he better play an important role, a very important. You can't just bring him in and be like, hey, guys. I mean, I would even think at this point, if you're going to bring him in, he can't even do a Lando scene. Like Lando, I love that episode. It was good. But at the same time, Lando didn't have any great importance in the episode. Tarkin has to play an important role. You can't bring someone on like this, man, and not have it lead to or expand on the story more, on the main storyline.
Absolutely. Like you said, it's just he's too important.
So we will see next week how that plays out exactly. I mean, Tarkin is just so scary looking too, man. He's such a stoic looking face.
He looks like a walking skeleton.
I know, man. Well, that recasting for Revenge of the Sith was perfect.
I think some of that was prosthetics, man.
It's all right. It's still a good job. I'm sure it was. I mean, they do that nowadays. And knowing, you know what? Knowing George Lucas, the guy wasn't even real. Probably wasn't even a real actor. Probably a CGI. No, I remember seeing pictures of him, honestly, during production when they said that Tarkin was going to make a cameo, and he does look damn like that guy. Like, even I'm sure they added prosthetics to sharpen his features a bit, but I remember seeing behind the scenes photos of him on set, and he does look a lot like Tarkin, the actor that plays him.
A little bit younger.
Okay, so then we're going to close out the show. A little bit of things that people are saying about Star Wars here, about Star Wars Rebels, and I want to see if you agree or disagree. This one is one that kind of surprises me. He's all, man, this is on Facebook. Man, I really want to like this show, but it really is missing something, like a dark overtone. The Empire is in power, but are portrayed like bumbling idiots. Less slapstick and more of what made the Clone Wars really good. Okay, let's just break that down first. First off, they're starting the show out. And first off, I already think there's some dark overtones, a lot more than I ever expected there to be. I mean, the whole thing with Ezra struggling with the dark side, which is definitely, I think we've kind of come to that conclusion, Dustin, that he is struggling with that.
Yes.
I mean, you have the Inquisitor, who's just vicious. Already, to me, this show is already more serious toned than Clone Wars ever was in its first season. Do you remember the first season of Clone Wars?
Yes.
I quit watching it twice when it first aired. I got to like episode 13 and I'm like, I can't watch this. And not because it wasn't good, but because those fucking battle droids were so obnoxious. I mean, and the battle droids in the prequels were fine. They were funny. They had clever little lines here and there, but it was very, they were sporadic. In Clone Wars, it was so in your face. I hated it.
And this person on Facebook wants to say that Rebels is too slapstick.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, like that first season of Clone Wars, those battle droids almost from the very first episode almost destroyed it. Almost, I mean, the Clone Wars movie itself with the Hutt. Remember Jabba's gay cousin?
Oh my god!
Oh my lord! It was horrible. You know, so it took a couple seasons for Clone Wars to really get going and kind of start delivering the really good myth episodes of Star Wars. And even then, there were still some slapstick scenes. Guys, it was on Cartoon Network, and it wasn't on Adult Swim, okay? It was on actual Cartoon Network. So I kind of disagree with this guy. I think people live in the immediate future, meaning he probably remembers the last couple seasons of Clone Wars and forgets how Clone Wars started.
Yeah, I love Rebels way more than Clone Wars. I'll probably catch flack for that, but I really like where the series is going. And I like it more than Clone Wars. I agree, and I think we've both said that a couple times on the show now. That I enjoyed Clone Wars for the most part. I think Star Wars Rebels is a far superior show in almost every way. Yes, absolutely.
And it can only get better, and that's why I look at it as a superior show. The fact that it's this good and doesn't have a whole lot of issues, and it's only 11 episodes in. That means it's only going to get better. It's a great start.
And I look forward to seeing this every week. Clone Wars was like, I'll catch up on it later.
Yeah. Then he says, okay, next thing he says is, let's see. Have Vader make a cameo. If the Clone Wars is canon, whatever happened to the plans that Palpatine had for Maul? Excite us. Okay, this story isn't about Darth Maul. I'm sure they'll cover Darth Maul down the road. I'm sure they may even probably use, Disney and Lucasfilm probably have plans to do some type of spin-off series or some other thing for him. I don't want to see Maul in this. I want him to be a mystery for right now.
Yeah, that's too much. You can't add him into the mix as well. I mean, we already got the Inquisitor. You don't need Darth Maul.
And Vader already had a cameo. Obviously, he missed it.
Well, yeah. That oh my god, man.
Yeah.
Trolls.
Let's see here.
I have something really quick.
Yeah, go for it.
I was noticing actually on the Star Wars Rebels site, they had posted a picture advertising this last episode, and one of the comments on the pictures, the guy says, "I really hate Ezra's lightsaber hilt. It looks like a rapier. It's stupid." And I say to this, if you're gonna troll, at least stay current on the episodes. It's not. I'm sure this person seriously thinks that, oh, it's just, the stapler lightsaber hilt. I'm pretty sure this guy doesn't know that that's a fucking blaster, dude.
Right.
And that's awesome.
He probably doesn't understand. And if listen, everyone's entitled to their opinion, but as we discussed before, I think Ezra's lightsaber makes a lot of sense.
Oh, it does. It absolutely
makes
does.
a lot of sense to this world. You can't just walk around with a hilt. If you want to have your lightsaber with you, you're going to have to disguise it in some fashion. And what better way to disguise it than have it look like a blaster of some sorts?
Absolutely. We covered that in the last episode, but I just hate it when trolls troll like that and they don't know what the hell they're talking about.
Right. Well, that's why they're called trolls. Yeah, and then someone writes, yes, I agree. This show should be getting more serious, but it isn't. I like the Inquisitor, but you rarely see him, and the Empire is more than of a joke here than it was like the original trilogy. I don't know. I just don't agree with that. I want to look at this and kind of take in what they're seeing, but I mean, again, it's on. Let's just take it. Obviously, it isn't a movie. This is a cartoon on Disney XD, as we covered before as well. But if you want to compare it to Clone Wars, I think it's better in almost every way. Maturity, tone, writing,
the look,
the animation, everything is just better, in my opinion, than Clone Wars. I think this is a winner through and through. So it's sad that people can't, I mean, you could enjoy something like Clone Wars and still see the greatness in something else. And I think that's what people are doing. You get these Clone Wars fans who are so obsessed with it, and then they don't want to see nothing else. And that happens with new shows. You saw that happen with Star Trek. Oh, Next Generation. Oh, Deep Space Nine sucks. And then Voyager comes out. Oh, Deep Space Nine is so much better than Voyager.
Never satisfied.
Right. I mean, look at the people begging for George Lucas to come back now. I'm like, you guys hated George Lucas.
Yeah, you ran him out of Hollywood. He sold his multi-billion-dollar company because you just wouldn't leave him alone.
Just so he can get away from you. Yeah, man. All right, well, on that note, we do need to end the show for today. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in and listening to another Star Wars From the Bat to Tank, the Rebels edition, and we'll be back next week. Thank you, Dustin.
Thank you, Mike. What?
FromTheBackToTank.com and listen to the show at your leisure. We're also on Stitcher, Smart Radio, Stitcher.com, search BACTA, and add us to your favorites. Thank you, and listen responsibly. And may the Force be with you. And long